Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to a very spooky episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
Oh, sorry, I was taking a drink at the wrong time. It's JD.
How did you not know I was going to ask your name? Did you think you were going to be a
I, d-
much
I
faster drinker than you were?
No, Michelle, I was trying to do a funny and like do some play acting here,
Oh,
and then you just totally were like, "No, I could totally believe you're that dumb." And now I feel
absolutely. We
bad about
both do
myself.
that
Thanks.
stuff. That's like 90% of our show is us being awkward human beings, and I could absolutely see either of us doing that. Being like, oh no.
Michelle, I'm doing it again. It's fine. So we're just fucking with. Look, guys, this is our second episode we recorded today. We're not a minute into this episode, and I'm already dropping the facade. It's as we record this. It is June 19th, 2024.
I knew you were going to spoil it. But for you guys in the future, it is Spooktober. Hello,
It's October
welcome, spooky
1st.
season.
Or maybe
Yeah,
for
it
those
is.
of you in the far distant future, it's like this dropped a year and a half ago. I don't know. Who knows?
Or
Who
maybe it's
knows?
October 1st and they pass a law that going forward, just all days will be October 1st. So that you're always in the spooky
That's very
season.
much a possibility.
Yeah, and you're in a nice anticipation of Halloween. Regardless of what day it used to be. Now, fuck February. It is now October 1st every day, bitches. I feel like October 30th would be too close to Halloween, and that's edging for the rest of your life. October 1st is like a fun excitement. Yeah, you guys, it's our third time doing Spooktober.
Did
Uh-oh.
no? You know what? I don't need to ask the question. It's not that important.
Edging for the rest of your life is it's October 30th. Anyway, our first year of Spooktober, it was our like first, we were very fresh to the podcast. So we just picked some movies that we had not seen or had not reviewed for the show. And then the second time we did short films because I like a good short film. Show me something spooky in 5 minutes and just fuck off. Let me get on with my day. Like five
Also,
minutes if you
because
can
we got
spook
a
me.
real late start.
Yeah. I wonder what that is.
I don't know. Here's what I'm noticing
knows?
right away is we seem to have a little bit of a delay on the connection right now, Michelle. And normally I
Oh.
would say maybe we should pause and start over, but fuck it. I'm curious to see how this goes.
Great. That won't be a problem. Oh no. How much of a delay is there?
It's not a huge delay.
Okay. You responded pretty quickly to me, so I feel a little bit more
It
comfortable
for a
right
mi- for
now.
it, for a minute there it was a little bit worse than it is now, but it seems to
Okay.
have corrected itself.
Well, I guess we're just androids anyway, and we're not
We're
real
having
people,
a day,
so
guys. You remember
we are having
remember
a day.
back when we dropped the beach house episode like 3 months ago, and I was talking about how fucked my internet connection was, and how I had to have Michelle disconnect our call because I didn't want to scream in her ear. That was this same day. That was 20 minutes ago as we record this.
Or
Nobody
October
cares.
1st, depending on the illusion. Depending.
Nobody
Okay.
cares about my ridiculous obsession of the date and when we recorded versus when we released. Let's just talk about the movie.
Apparently
Michelle,
not.
what are we
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about this year?
I would love to talk about the movie. We are talking about Dark Harvest from 2023.
Oh,
I declared it one of my favorite movies of 2023 last year, and JD had not seen it yet. So I said, for Spooktober, we are doing Halloween-based movies.
yes.
We're going to kick her off with Dark
Yeah,
Harvest.
we've been doing all year long. We've been doing holiday-based bonus episodes, and then we were trying to decide what we wanted to do for Spooktober. For a minute there, we were gonna do like all the episodes of the Shudder Creep Show TV series, which we may still do one of these years. Who knows? And then it just hit us. It's like, oh well, fuck. Let's just do a month of Halloween movies. Do want to let you know if you're jumping in with us. Look, some of these are pretty intense horror movies. We're also decided that we're gonna relax a little bit, and we're gonna throw in some family and more less aggressive Halloween related movies along the way, things from our youth that we really enjoyed that we want to go back and revisit. But not today. We'll
Like
deal
House
with
of a Thousand
those.
Corpses,
Right,
one of
yeah,
my
House
favorite
of a
childhood
Thousand
films.
Corpses and Halloween Town.
Great
You know,
movie. Exactly.
that's
And
a
the
perfect
Halloween
double
tree,
feature, right? Yeah.
which is mentally exhausting and upsetting. I'm really looking
We're
forward to the
gonna
Halloween
we
tree.
check out our social media. I'm sure Michelle prepared a list of everything we're gonna be watching so that you guys can keep up with it, if you
Of
want to
course
do
I
that.
did.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Dark Harvest is the movie we're talking
Dark
about today.
Harvest.
Michelle,
Yeah.
you
Should
were the one who really loved this, so why don't you start talking about it first?
Yeah. Should I start with the IMDb description?
I think if you want to do a descriptive script, that's probably a great way to kick off an
Perfect.
episode.
Yeah, and we did not discuss if this one is too
6 minutes
spoilery.
in.
I think it's fine. So in a small Midwestern town, a deadly annual ritual unfolds when the mythical nightmare Sawtooth Jack rises from the cornfields and challenges the town's teenage boys in a bloody battle of survival. Dark Harvest 2023, rated R, hour 36 minutes. Yeah, I
Normally,
will
this
talk
is where
about the
Michelle
movie.
would be. Yeah, normally this is where Michelle would be like, JD, you want to hit us with our spoiler-free thoughts? But no,
But you said you
no,
wanted
I
me to.
don't.
Yeah.
I want you to, Michelle. I want you to hit
Okay.
me. I know we talked about this a little bit on that one on a couple. What was it? The best of the year episode, probably. But this is your chance. Tell me what you
Yeah.
loved about this movie.
Everything. I adore this movie. I am not a creature feature person. I have said that repeatedly on this show. I just never feel very impressed by what I'm being shown. So when I'm like, oh, it's a movie about a guy named Sawtooth Jack, I'm not going to find him scary. What's the point? And then you realize it's not really so much about Sawtooth Jack being scary. There's a lot of other factors going into this, and I cared so much about all of those. This is incredibly gory in the best way. There are six squelching subtitles, and if it's got a squelch, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to like it because that means that there's some bloody things or some gooey things. And luckily, this falls into that category. I loved the main character and the things that he discovers. I love Kelly, the lady main character. Everything about this just appealed to me and was a very nice, pleasant surprise. I'm sure by the time that it actually is October, I'm going to be watching this again because this feels like such a good Halloween film. It's just the epitome of it. There are a couple things that I wanted to know more about, and I'm sure you would want to know more about them, JD, because you like a good, solid story and all your answers wrapped up. So I did also read the book to prepare for this episode. There's also a short story. I did not bother reading that, but so I have a little bit more information. I think it's pretty cool that this we don't have to get into book versus movie in the spoiler free section, but I will just say I enjoy both. This is just a nice, good time. 5 skulls for me.
5 skulls for Dark Harvest, exactly what you would expect for one of Michelle's favorite films of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle,
Would you like to hit us with your spoiler free thoughts, Shady?
yeah, I would. No, this movie's all right. It's a good time.
Okay.
I think I
Woo.
don't like it. I don't like it quite as much as you do. There are a
Fair.
couple of things about it that are a little bit. I don't even know how to describe it. But just a couple of sour points for me along the way. I also do not typically get into this kind of creature feature, but this was a lot of fun. I think there's some good story elements here. Somebody who is a big fan of the Misfits was very much involved in the making of this movie. We'll talk about that. There are a couple of really cool things, and then one thing that I thought was just cheesy as hell. But no, overall, this is a good time. I could definitely see this. Maybe not for me, but I can definitely see how for other folks this could very quickly become like we drag this one out every Halloween sort of season. Yeah, it was a good time. I'm glad I saw it. 4 skulls. I almost forgot I had
Excellent.
to give
Four
it a
skulls.
skulls.
No, that's good. I was not
I
sure how you were
want
going to feel about
four
this one.
skulls. That's a Misfits reference that some people will get. We'll talk more about Misfits references when we dissect the movie.
Okay, sounds good. So 4.5 average skulls between our two ratings. And you know what? I think that's pretty honorable. Well, episode's done. Goodbye.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Oh, wait, you think we should
Oh,
go into a
wait.
spoiler section? I guess.
Yeah, nobody was amused by that but us, but god damn it, that was
They
funny.
never will be, but we will
No.
keep doing it until one or both of us dies.
If only they did look, if only our audience knew that they mean nothing to us. That's probably
I
not the
mean
way.
nothing to myself. Of course,
That's
they mean nothing to me. None of this is real.
Wow,
Okay,
we got real depressed all of a sudden. Holy shit. Let's talk about
I
this
ain't
movie and
depressed.
feel better
I'm
about
just matter of
ourselves.
fact.
Oh,
No,
that's fair. That's
I'm
fair.
good over here.
All
Okay,
right, so we're going to dive
on
into some
to spoiler section.
spoilers. Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want us to spoil it, go watch it now. Come back and listen to the rest. Michelle,
Yeah.
do what you do. Tell people what happens in this movie.
Okay. One of my favorite things about this movie is that it takes place in like 1960s, 1950s,
62.
1960s, I think. 62. Thank you. I love that's a 1960s film, and that means we got boys who like to grease their hair back and wear leather jackets. You know, the bad guys. They're the guys that like your parents told you not to hang out with because oh man, they're smoking cigarettes and they're listening to loud music and they're probably like in a cornfield fucking fighting a guy named Sawtooth Jack. You know, those bad guys. So every year Sawtooth Jack shows up and they all of the teenage boys they are forced to fast for 3 days and then just unleashed to go hunt down this man as he tries to make his way to the church. And they have to kill him before he gets to the church. Otherwise, terrible, terrible things will happen to their town. And they don't want that to happen. So this is the story of these teenage boys fighting against Sawtooth Jack. There's a guy, his name's Richie, because of fucking course it is. It's the 1960s. Every main character was named Richie. Of fucking course. Look how authentic. So there's this guy. He's named Richie, and he's a teenage boy. Of course. He's got a leather jacket. Of course he does. He's got a white t-shirt. Of course he does. He's got the slick back hair. He's got all of it. So he wants to go hunt down Sawtooth Jack. The problem is last year his brother had won and defeated Sawtooth Jack, and he got a car and fucked right off out of town. And nobody's allowed to leave town unless they ask the guild for permission. So the fact that he got to leave was great. His family, they got a house, they got all these riches. And everyone's like, well, it's not fair that Richie's going to compete because his brother already won. His family got all the money. Yeah, but his brother got the car. Richie wants the car. He wants to get the fuck out of this town. Have you not seen you people? You're all insufferable assholes. It's the Midwest in the 1960s. He's much better off basically anywhere else. And he knows that. So he wants to leave. There's this girl, Kelly. He's sweet on Kelly, and he wants Kelly to come with him. And I like that. She's a pyromaniac, and I just love that little fact about her, where she's just burning shit down all the time. She's pretty great. So they are trying to hunt down Sawtooth Jack so that one of them will kill Sawtooth Jack before he kills them. And basically, what comes out is that Sawtooth Jack is actually the winner of the previous year's battle. That boy is killed and growing into a pumpkin boy who then tries to make his way to the church to doom the town to another Great Depression like situation. So that's what's happening and he's like that's kind of fucking weird and I don't like that you killed my brother and made him into a pumpkin man. So now he's pretty pissed and he wants to help Sawtooth Jack. There's a whole lot of things with Luke Kirby. I fucking love Luke Kirby. This apparently was a Luke Kirby month and I did not even realize it and I'm not sad about it at all. He's a very ornery officer and I adore him. Anything he does, I'm just like, he's just like a cute little guy. And so Richie, he wants to help Sawtooth Jack, but at the last moment, he's like, my brother is in misery. He does not like being a pumpkin man. I guess I will just kill him and put him out of his misery. And it's very touching. And he does that. And then everybody's like, yay, Richie won. And they're all happy, but Richie's not happy. And he grabs Kelly. He's like, let's get the fuck out of here. And then they go to leave and they get stopped by the officer. And in an ending that I did not see coming at all, Richie does get killed and planted and growing into the pumpkin man. But next year, his dad shows up and he's like, give him hell, son. And so he fucking does. And I like to think that town was fucking doomed forever. It's a great fucking story, Dark Harvest.
Dark Harvest. That pretty much covers the details of it, and I agree with you. This is a lot of fun. I immediately got like Shirley Jackson vibes from this, right? Like that's sort of small town horror where
Yeah.
of course the lottery is the first thing that comes to mind, where there's this
Yep.
small community where there's this tradition that they have, this thing that happens, and this is hilarious to talk about because, like I said, this is the same day we recorded The Beach House, and I just talked about how they didn't give me enough in that movie, but I think this is a perfect case of the balance of it, right? Like, I don't, for some reason, this movie didn't make me feel like there was anything I needed to know. Probably because it didn't strike me as like a really, look, this isn't a movie that's gonna be ultra thought provoking or anything, right? But it's fun. It's a good time. It's a solid story, and I just so I got definite Shirley Jackson vibes from it. It's almost like The Lottery meets The Outsiders, in a certain way. But no, I first of all, this movie is way more gory than I would have expected.
Oh
Holy
yeah.
shit! What was your favorite?
Yeah.
What was your favorite gore moment in this movie?
The bunker with just the fountain of blood that comes flying out of that.
Just a
Oh my god.
geyser, a volcano of
Yes.
blood. That was a
Is that your favorite?
spectacular moment. No, my favorite was the kid getting his head cut in half. And then he comes
Yes.
walking up to the screen and he's still talking with only like half a head. And the half
Oh
that's
yeah.
missing is his entire brain pan. So it's just absolutely ludicrous that he would still be walking or speaking. Well, walking maybe with your medulla. He's definitely not speaking at that point. But it was an amazing effect.
Oh
I
yeah.
like the creature in this. I thought it was
Yeah,
a really solid,
surprising.
fun Halloween design, right? The first thing that jumps to my mind is like, oh, this is the creature that should have been called Pumpkinhead. Because it's actually got a pumpkin for a head. That's a little on the nose. I understand. I love that it's a combination of things, right? Like it's a scarecrow monster, but then it's also like a living dead monster, and they have to kill it, but like they don't. First, I would like to mention how I love that you said they're required to fast for 3 days. No, Michelle, they're starved for 3 days. That's
Fair.
a really
Fair.
euphemistic way you decided to phrase that. But
Yeah.
there's that opening scene where they're devouring the body, and then you don't really quite understand what's going on, but you think you do.
Mhm.
This thing is basically a fucking pinata full of candy,
Yeah.
and the idea
He
is you
is
gotta smash it open and eat all the candy out of its guts.
he is the
I
trick with the
loved it.
heart made of treats. The
Yes,
trick with the heart made of treats, cause trick or treat. And they all wear
right.
masks. Like they
Mm-hmm.
it's like a
Like
big
it's the
ritual
Halloween
thing.
thing. Yeah.
It's so Halloweeny. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, it was it just a lot of fun. The being set in the 60s, I think was it almost felt more just like we just want it to be in the 60s, right? This is a cool place for us to tell our story. I'll get to a little more of that in a bit. But yeah, that's just some of my thoughts on it. Why don't you talk about the movie for a little while?
Yeah.
Shirley Jackson's photo on Wikipedia is staring at me really weirdly right now, and I need to do something about it.
Okay. So 1962, I think it's perfect to set this back then because if this was a modern movie, there are some things where I'm like, "Oh, why is this the way it is? It's a little goofy, but I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. If they had set this in modern times, no fucking way. Everybody has the internet. people would definitely be going there. Even if people aren't allowed to leave the town, people would be going to the town. They would have more contact with the outside world. This would never be a thing that would just stay isolated. But 1962 rural Midwestern town is so much more believable as these people just living in their isolated uh, culture, and they can just have this kind of thing where like this is just accepted as a thing that happens every year and nobody questions it, and they don't wonder like, why do all the town boys like not spend the entire year preparing to fucking fight Sawtooth Jack because you know you're going to have to do that? Why do you not have better weapons? Like there's a lot of like questions to that, but instead it's just, no, this is how it is. And it's like a big fun night until it's not because all your friends are dead. But apparently, like, it's just a fun thing we all do. So I just love that. I also just love anything set in the 60s and the 50s and that whole era. Like, oh God, I love it. I used to watch so many old TV shows with my grandma. It also adds to like the nostalgia factor for me, and it just warms my little heart a little bit. Yeah, the time period is so crucial for this. I fucking love Richie, by the way. In a way, I'm kind of like, dang, if I was younger, he is a little heartthrob. Like, I love a bad boy. And so he's just like a fun guy of like the bad guy who's not actually a bad guy. He's got a heart of gold. And don't worry, Kelly, you can change him. You're gonna run away together. Like, I love that little story between those two. And
I don't I don't think Kelly has any interest in changing him. I think they love the fact that they're both a couple of juvenile
fair.
delinquent miscreants.
Fair. Okay, so rather you can make this work. Yeah, because he's got like a little heart of gold. He
Oh
seems like a
no, it's
bad guy.
doomed. It's absolutely doomed,
No, it's
but no,
not.
it's a beautiful
Only
story,
because
but
he
it's
was killed
absolutely doomed.
and made into a pumpkin man. That's the
No,
only reason. Otherwise,
no.
they would have lived together forever.
Oh, no, she would definitely light him on fire 3 years into that relationship.
Okay, well that's fine because that's hilarious. That's a really good way to end. Don't actually do that. We here at We Watch
No,
Better do
don't
not
light
condone
anybody on
lighting people on
fire.
fire. Don't do it.
Wow.
Uh yeah, this is I was actually surprised that you didn't want more of like the background because in a rare situation I actually did, and I was excited to read the book because I just needed more. Not that it's just one of those where I love it so much that I wanted to know more. And when I found out it was based on a book, I had to go dig that out. I actually found out about it because when looking up stuff about the movie, I just found people who are angry about it because they like the book so much. So I
Okay.
went, yeah, and I went and read the book after seeing the movie, and the big differences between the two. Richie is not a character in the actual book. I'll just go into this very briefly. The book is told from the perspective of just a random boy who is going to fight Sawtooth Jack, and then the other half of the book is the perspective of Sawtooth Jack. It is him on his way to get to the church and him thinking about like murdering people and stuff. So it's those two pitted against each other and uncovering the conspiracy of the town. What I think is that the movie is kind of like an alternate reality, because it's kind of like the book takes place the year before where Richie's brother won is kind of like what's going on in like a roundabout way. So I think they kind of both exist but just can't exist simultaneously. There's a lot of things that were taken from the book, but yet like it tells us a lot of the lore. I don't know, it's like it I felt like it complemented like each other really well, and I didn't feel like I had to pick one is better than the other. These are two completely different storytelling techniques where this movie could not be put into a book and be as enjoyable, and that book could not be translated perfectly a film because there's like this narrator throughout the entire thing that would not have done well in a movie setting. If we knew about Sawtooth Jack and we're seeing from his perspective, it would have been much goofier. So yeah, there's just a lot of lore about it, and even more like Halloweeny things. Just they do build up to the treats so much more of like they fast for 3 days so that they can go eat Sawtooth Jack, and that is just hilarious to me that they're just like their parents lock them away And then they're like, okay, go find this man and eat him, and then you can have a car and a house. Like, it's just a silly concept, but it's so well executed. Also, Luke Kirby. I fucking love Luke Kirby. I love him. I love him so much. He's
Does
one of my
the
favorites.
book does the book spend any time going into the origins of Sawtooth Jack, like how this all began, where the ritual came from, that sort of thing?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I don't think it goes into like exactly where it began, but it does go into a lot more of the history of what happened when Sawtooth has like made it to the church. And they do go over that a little bit in the movie. Like that's why Kirby's character is so mad because one time like somebody did make it to the church, or Sawtooth Jack did make it, and then they had just dust and depression and famine for years, and his whoever brother, sister, whoever was killed in like right outside his home. So they go into that a little bit more, but there's nothing about like them figuring out that they could like plant a boy and grow him and then have him wander to the church. Then again, I could be wrong. I read it last week, but I do not remember that being a thing that they go into very heavily. If I'm wrong,
Yeah,
feel free to correct me. I have a bad memory.
I definitely had moments where I was curious if they were gonna delve into the history of Sawtooth Jack.
Yeah.
But this honestly felt a little bit more, and I think this is why it doesn't bother me quite so much that we don't get a lot of backgrounding. Is this definitely plays more like fairy tale is not the right word, but it's the first thing that comes to mind, right? This is like
Hmm.
this is a Halloween campfire story, right? And
Yeah.
so because we never this is just the way it is. This is Sawtooth Jack. This has been happening every year, and that's just what's going on. We never talk in the lottery by Shirley Jackson, if memory serves. They never go into the origins of this ritual. It just
Hmm.
is what it is. And so I was just curious if they did any exploration of that in the book.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think they do.
I do. I mentioned that there were some references to legendary horror punk band Misfits in this movie. A couple of them that I really loved because they're real deep, right? Like there are a couple of there's a moment in here that I actually really like when the three. Like first of all, they all wear the weird that mask that they wear is the Crimson Ghost, which has been the Misfits logo for years and years and years and years, is that Crimson Ghost mask face. But there's this sequence where these three drunk boys are like stumbling. I think they're going into like they pass through a gate into like I don't know if it's a cemetery or what, but they're talking about Jim Shepard, the guy who won the run the previous year, Richie's brother. They talk about how like no, he went off to New Jersey to start a rock band. They got an album coming out next year called Teenagers from Mars. Teenagers from Mars is not a band or an album, but it was a song, a single released by the Misfits in 1979. They are a band from Lodi, New Jersey, and there is a member. He wasn't the vocalist, he wasn't the leader of the band, but there was one of the original members of the Misfits. For the longest time, was just known to the world as Mr. Jim, and he played the drums. And now, of course, everybody knows what his real name is, and it's not Jim Shepard, but it is Jim something else. But I liked the layering of that because it's one of those things where you really got to know, to especially the Mr. Jim thing. But then there's a moment in the car where they all put on their masks and the guy driving the car says, "Come on to a violent world with me," and that's lyrics from a Misfits song, and it's perfectly fine phrasing as lyrics to a song, but as spoken words, nobody would ever talk like that. And it felt so shoehorned that I was like, it was a little cringy for me. But yeah, that's the song is called "Violent World," and that's the whole hook line. But it's so. I just really appreciate though the I love Misfits. They're a fucking rad band. I not once but twice have done live performances with a band where we just covered a bunch of Misfits songs. Once for Halloween, in fact, several years ago. So, I just thought that was kind of cool.
I
That was
can't
my
name a
rant
single
about.
Misfits song.
That was my rant. Well, Teenagers from Mars. I just told you, Michelle.
Okay, good point. Yep, now I'm familiar with that one. And Violent World? Was that
And
the other
Violent
one?
World. Yes, yes,
Okay, I
Violent
know
World.
two Misfits songs.
Yeah. But anyway,
Once I'm
that
out
was
of
my
my
little.
my Tool phase that you got me into, I will go into the Misfits next.
Yeah, for Halloween, the one year, I think it was like 5 years ago, 18 or 19. It was pre-COVID. We covered the entire first Misfits album that actually didn't get released as a full album until 1996. But it's called Static Age. We did that whole album. And then for New Year's that year, we did the entire second album, which is called Walk Among Us. And in the middle of it, we did 3 songs from their EP, Three Hits from Hell, because side one of Walk Among Us ends with a live version of Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight. And at the end of Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight, they start playing the bass line from London Dungeon, which is the first track on the Three Hits from Hell EP. That was super nerdy. I'm a big Misfits fan. That's 2 Misfits rants I've gone on now here in this episode. We should probably stop.
I didn't understand any of them. That was my favorite part of them.
Oh,
I just
anyway.
went, yeah, sure, okay. I don't
Yeah.
know anything about music. I know Justin Timberlake got arrested for a DUI yesterday. Does that count as music knowledge?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people would say, "Oh yeah, that's." I mean, lots of people get arrested for DUI every day. Who gives a shit if Justin Timberlake did? You know.
I think it's silly.
I
That's
think
all.
when my uncle gets a DUI, that should be in the news. You know. Why
Well,
not?
maybe it should be.
Maybe it should be.
Yep,
Anyway, guys,
that's all I got.
so that's Dark
Yeah.
Harvest. Definitely one you should check out. It's a lot of fun. Not reinventing the wheel in any way, but just a real good time. One thing I did want to mention is they got 3 really fantastic character actors to play the adults, like the 3 main adults in this film, or some of the main adults. I'm thinking specifically of Richie and Jim's parents, Dan and
Mm-hmm.
Donna Shepard, who were played by Jeremy Davies and
Yep.
Elizabeth Reeser. Elizabeth Reeser, I know from various Mike Flanagan projects. Jeremy Davies, I know from a million things. I think the first thing I saw him in was Lost forever ago. And then also, the farmer is played by Ezra Buzzington, who was one of the ensemble members in Brooklyn 45 from last year, which is one of the greatest ensemble cast performance horror films I've ever seen in my life. Really great, but
Oh
I also
shit!
love. Yeah,
I didn't
he was the mean
realize.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah,
general
that
or
was the
whatever.
farmer. Yeah, Phil, I believe
Wow.
his name was the character.
Okay,
But
that's
yeah,
perfect.
but I also love that this movie is very young actor forward, right? Like this very much focuses on the kids, and I find myself wondering, especially this Casey Likes who played Richie and Amiri Crutchfield who played Kelly. I will not be at all surprised if you start seeing those names quite a bit in the future because first of all, as you mentioned, Casey Likes hunky boy, wears that greaser leather jacket and his hair all slicked back. Side note, by the way, I went to the Marcus $5 mystery movie this past Monday as we're recording this. It was that movie, The Bike Riders. I left about halfway through because it just wasn't for me, not a big deal. But if you're into greaser type 1950s, 1960s hair slicked back, leather jacket, motorcycle wearing, riding square jawed dudes, that's a movie for you, Michelle. It's got Tom Hardy and Austin Butler and Mike Faced and Michael Shannon and Norman Reedus. It's like a laundry list of like dudes that most people, ladies, men, whatever,
It's
probably would.
it's a long list of like people that I have a weird attraction to. I fucking love Bane. I have a fetish for Bane. I don't know why. It's the voice with the mask. I love it. So Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, not into him unless he's Elvis. And then
Well, I mean, he's basically doing a
Norman
Brad
Reedus.
Pitt impersonation in this movie, like young Brad Pitt.
Oh, well, that I'm not as interested in. And then Norman Reedus as just like the weird main character from Death Stranding. Super into that guy. He's really sad and he has a baby attached to him all the time. Why do I like that? No idea.
He's
So yeah, it's
in the
just
Bike
like a
Riders.
very weird.
He's a hippie biker from California with terrible teeth.
Oh, god damn it. See, it's everything that I don't like about these people.
Oh,
You ruin it
spoiler
for
alert
me.
for the Bike Riders. It's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer. It's whatever. But how did this become about the Bike Riders? I don't know. It's also
Casey
awesome
likes.
to
He's a,
watch.
a greaser boy.
You spend some time getting to watch Jodie Comer do a hilarious like Northern Illinois, Wisconsin like real thick accent. It's oh my god. It's like I don't even want to try to impersonate it, but it's hilarious and awesome. And I don't know how anybody kept a straight face during the entire production of that film because I would not have been able to do it. Even Tom Hardy's accent made me giggle at times where I was like, I'm the only one giggling. That's probably not good. But it's right up there with like the accents from Fargo. Jodie Comer in this movie in the most respectful of way. Like I don't mean this as like a oh god, it's just it's just it was something else. We don't need to talk about the Bike Riders anymore in
Well,
October.
it's too late.
It's too
We have
late.
for 5 minutes.
Sorry guys.
So
Go watch the Bike Riders if you like Bike Riders. It's
maybe
Halloween.
by the time this episode comes out, I will. I'll have seen it.
Maybe.
And I'll
You
been
won't
like,
have
oh,
seen
all
it.
the weird heartthrobs. No, I definitely won't. I have too many things to watch, and that's not going on the list.
Oh, so what are we talking about next? So here's what we decided to do, guys. I realized I just asked you a question there and then launched into a thing. But so we're like I
Yeah,
said,
I'm
we're
used to
doing
it.
some we're doing some aggressive Halloween movies. We're doing some easier kind of more family enjoyable Halloween, and we're gonna alternate them. So what's our first family enjoyable, fun, good time horror movie, our Halloween movie we're going to talk about tomorrow, Michelle?
It is bizarre to me that you put so much effort into making like family friendly content every other day because I didn't even realize it while looking at the list. It's just
I
you have obsessive behaviors about certain things, and
I
I'm like, oh yeah,
structure
that is
things,
kind of
yeah.
family friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess
Yeah,
so.
it's an alternating
Tomorrow
back
on
and
our
this
family
this is
friendly,
Michelle learning that I structured it like this is what's happening. She had no idea. It's like
I
also
like I perused the
we're also
list. I
doing
did not
them in
realize.
reverse chronological order from the newest to the oldest, not only within their subsections, right? It's the aggressive movies are in order from newest to oldest, and the non-aggressive ones are in order from newest to oldest. But some they don't intertwine perfectly, is what I'm trying to say. Nobody cares, Michelle. Why are you just sitting there letting me do this?
Because if I try to interrupt, it's not going to go anywhere, and they're just going to get audio of us talking over each other.
You're
That's
right. I'm
why.
gonna here. You
There's
take
no
over from
way.
here. I'm just gonna set this microphone down before I embarrass myself any further.
I feel like I've learned so much today about so many topics I did not care about. Between bike riders and the Misfits and the structure for Halloween. At least I'm well educated. That's good.
Love you too,
I would
Michelle.
fail a quiz on any of them. Anyway, tomorrow, our family friendly lineup is Spirit Halloween from 2022. And after that, we're going in reverse chronological order, but only in the family friendly section. I can't even bully you because I have a squelch collection. We each have our weird obsessions. But looking at this thing, I'm like, oh my God, you really did put a lot of effort into the structure. And on the other hand, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck. Tell me what I have to watch and when, and give me a microphone.
that's
We're
and
very
that's exact.
opposite.
We complement each other very well. Yes.
Yeah,
And
I don't give a
okay,
fuck.
so we're done with this episode. There, we got a bunch more of these we got to record, and then there's a bunch more that you guys got to listen to. Make sure you tell all your friends and neighbors that they got to listen to them too. If they don't listen
I
to
don't know
them,
my neighbors. Fuck
if
off.
they don't listen to them, burn their house down like Sawtooth Jack.
Or like Kelly. Kelly's a pyromaniac.
Look, I'm telling you, there's a sequel to this movie coming, and it's gonna be Kelly the pyromaniac teaming up with Sawtooth Jack, the guy who burns shit down with his flaming pumpkin head. And it's gonna be Sawtooth Jack and Kelly and Sawtooth Jack's dad, and they're gonna go on a slaughter spree, and it's gonna be like a beautiful, like almost like a Devil's Rejects, only fun instead of just
Okay, I fucking
hideous
love Devil's
and
Rejects.
gross. Look, I'm not saying it's a like I get what it. I would just never describe the Devil's Rejects as fun. Jesus, that.
Well, to each their own.
Well, yeah, because you're a creepy
plus,
weirdo.
Kelly and Sawtooth Jack reunited. Their love will continue. I love the idea of a
They're
Dark
gonna
Harvest
kindle
2,
that
where it's about those
flame.
two.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my
And then
phone's
she
battery
lights
is
him on
dying.
fire, and he's pumpkin pie. Now I'm hungry
He's
for pumpkin pie, man.
No, oh God, so am I. Michelle, did you know
Yeah,
that a pumpkin
you're
is a
welcome.
berry?
Wait, what?
A pumpkin
Okay,
is a
this is a
berry.
fun fact I do care about. A pumpkin
Yeah,
is a berry
pumpkins,
because it has
squashes,
seeds
yeah,
inside.
yeah, they're berries.
I don't
You know what
like
else
that.
is a berry?
That
A
makes me really
banana.
uncomfortable.
Bananas are my
That one
favorite
I've heard.
berries. But yeah, pumpkins.
But
all
I
the
don't like
squashes.
that at all.
They're berries. It's a berry called a peppo.
I don't like that at
P-E-P-O,
all.
a peppo, from which
Like
we
it
get
hurts my
pepitas.
skin.
You ever see pumpkin
Ugh.
seeds and they call them pepitas? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
How
This-
did you learn so much about pumpkins? Pumpkins, the Misfits categorization.
Look,
You
this
have
is how
special
it's
interest.
Halloween season, Michelle. The Halloween facts are coming out. We gotta be done.
no.
Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shutter is a production of Rat Factory Media.